Hello, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm going to introduce a prototype of an app that I've been working on called Vocab Mundo. Before I dive in, there's someone I want you to meet. Cindy has aspired to explore the world since she was a little girl. After studying abroad and earning a master's in education, she decided to pursue teaching English as a foreign language so that she could explore new countries and have an impact on children's education around the world. Cindy currently works full-time in a school where the staff and students all speak Spanish, and she is anxious to start getting involved and make friends in the local area. As an expat language teacher, Cindy needs a fun and relatable way to learn Spanish and other languages. She wants to feel at home in her new country and connect with her students and other people in the community. As a digital native, Cindy carries her iPhone with her everywhere she goes. She is looking for an app that will help her learn new vocabulary relevant to her new community. Getting around Spain is much different than living in LA. Rather than driving a car to work or to social events, she either walks or takes public transportation like the metro or a plane or train out of the city. Cindy is adventurous and loves exploring new countries on weekends and holidays. This exposes her to exponentially more opportunities to interact with other people and take in the language. Ideally, Cindy wants to be able to have quick study sessions while riding the metro and enjoying her morning coffee. She loves to do her lesson planning in coffee shops where she can hear the local language and people watch. It would be really convenient if the app would also allow her to quickly reference words that she reads in the newspaper, on signs around the city, and in other places while on the go. When living abroad, you never know when you might find yourself in a situation where you need help communicating, and the quick reference is a lifesaver. For example, opening a bank account, choosing the right over-the-counter medicine and reading the directions properly, and getting on or off the right metro stop when you've been traveling the wrong way. Cindy knows there are numerous language learning apps available in the marketplace, but none of them meet all her needs and essentially require her to manage several apps for her learning goals. The dialect in Spain is unique to other Spanish-speaking countries in numerous ways. Not only is there lingo, but there are formal aspects to the grammar used to address people, and the accent is much different too. Cindy needs to learn words for everyday conversation by practicing reading, listening to the pronunciation with the accent, and speaking with this new accent. It would be really helpful to be able to use the same app as a resource for asking questions to the local community and adding her own flashcards for lingo that she encounters in the community. Based on what I've learned from Cindy and other language learners across the globe, I embarked on my very first design mission. The challenge is that there are numerous language learning apps available on the marketplace. In my competitive analysis, I noted that there are many apps that are highly rated by users. Language learning apps are not a new niche. However, none of them seem to be all-encompassing of the features that expat language learners are seeking. Relation to locale, grammar understanding, to be a quick resource and study tool, all while also being fun and interactive. This is no easy task. However, I believe that by designing a vocabulary app that contains relatable context and opportunity for customization, along with grammar resources and a way to ask questions to real people in global communities, we will help Cindy learn the Spanish dialect so she may build a deeper connection with her students and the people she meets in her community. The main features I want to introduce in this first prototype included a home screen with topics I thought might be relevant to learning a language from scratch, a scenarios feature which would provide more contextual vocabulary sets, a grammar feature that would provide users with lessons, as well as a direct link to the community when they're confused. Each practice set would offer the options to study, quiz your knowledge, or practice with the community. Finally, but very importantly, this app is designed with flashcard-style study tools that allow people to customize pre-made sets as well as create their own. I loaded this prototype with options and features to test what people would be drawn to and pick their brains a little bit as to why they preferred one thing or another. This was my first app and I was feeling really ambitious. For usability testing, I tested this prototype with 4 participants in person and via Skype and Zoom using screen sharing. I made my prototype in an app called Marvel, which allowed everyone to use their own computer and mouse to click through the prototype in response to my tasks. Some tasks were found to be more intuitive than others. These mock-ups are sized a bit smaller in order to provide an adequate visual of the process. So I've used little yellow diamonds to indicate the user flow. For the first task, selecting the top category at the homepage called Instructions was the first try for 3 out of 4 participants. The prototype had the social button highlighted as active and guided testers to select writing or speaking practice for this task. Some opted to try both. My second task proved to be less intuitive than the first. Initially, people figured that they would be able to find something relevant in the food category on the homepage, but I didn't have that as an active button in this prototype. This threw people off and sent them on a scavenger hunt. I had the cafe study set active within a food and wine category within the scenarios feature, which I learned wasn't intuitively a button, as indicated by the globe icon on the bottom panel. However, everyone was able to find it eventually, and most commented on how they liked the customization options as well as the animation I programmed into the prototype. It made it feel like it was a real app. For the third task in usability testing, locating the flashcard feature was not intuitive. Sasha commented that the folder icon with a star doesn't suggest that one could add a flashcard by clicking it. However, once the My Sets folder was discovered, everyone was able to flow through creating a new flashcard. The options to add media were again well liked. Some recommendations I received. The globe icon was often confused for a home button screen. Additionally, the two features seemed very similar and it was confusing to choose which page to reference. There was a lot of clicking back and forth. This organization needed to be condensed. Sasha, a visual learner, commented that she didn't realize grammar was a button because it was just words as opposed to an image like the other buttons. This could be made more clear. The social feature was well loved but also hard to locate within the app. This needs to be brought to the surface of the app somehow so that people can easily access it. 3 out of 4 testers suggested that there be a messaging feature to support conversations, expanding upon the Q&A feature. The flashcard icon needs to be redesigned to make it more obvious about what it is. Kevin suggested that there be a search feature on the home screen so that words can be quickly referenced and potentially added as a flashcard. Otherwise, what would stop people from using Google or a direct translator app? Overall, I received a lot of great feedback that helped me brainstorm a layout redesign. Vocab del Mundo has gone through some hefty redesign, which we will explore from the home screen. Flashcards now has a home on the bottom panel of the app. This can be accessed from any place while in the app with the idea that the icon is more obvious to users when they need to add a quick word or phrase for later reference. The home page has been completely redesigned with categories that reflect the feedback from the first round of usability testing. The flashcard sets that are listed here are customizable, so people can choose to list sets that are more relevant to their goals, such as business, hobbies, and fitness. I've added a browse button to the homepage to help people discover all the sets that are built into the app. The icon is meant to be a map, but that detail will be reserved for a more high fidelity prototype. Within Browse, users can choose new sets to customize their home screen or find something new to learn. All sets are customizable with audio, images, sketches, voice recordings, and of course text. The default setup is meant to get people started and encourage individual learning style. I've redesigned the language selection icon to resemble a passport. This will allow people to choose multiple languages and dialects to switch between. It may also be a confidence booster to see how many countries and languages they've explored. It'll also be quicker to switch between languages this way rather than having to go through the initial selection process over again. The grammar icon went through a subtle redesign, adding a question mark to make the button more visually intuitive. I've also added a search tool to the home screen, identical to the one previously found within the scenarios feature, so that someone can quickly look up a word, phrase, or scenario within the app. Finally, the social feature was relocated to more accessible and easier to discover messaging center on the bottom panel, which I merged with the prior notification center. This provides an easy platform for people to gain more clarity from their questions and connect with the global community. At first, I was apprehensive to share my prototype because this is the very first version of my user experience design project. I was really nervous about how people would react. However, after I completed several sessions of usability testing, I was more relaxed and felt more open and excited about the feedback I could get to further improve my prototype. It's easy to take feedback personally, but I'm learning that it's important to remember that the goal is to make a product or service that is intuitive to others. Every individual organizes and processes information uniquely. Every person who offered their time to test my prototype provided valuable feedback that further inspired creativity and innovation to the design process. A few things that went well. The social feature was exciting to every person who tested my prototype, and most people offered further insight as to how they would like to see this feature evolve. The grammar feature seemed like it would be useful to the learning process for many people. Overall, I thought it was really enjoyable to see people interact with the prototype and watch the amusement on people's faces when they saw the animations that brought it to life. I enjoy adding pizzazz to my presentations in case you couldn't tell. Some future iteration goals. I'd really like to find a new name for the app. I want to come up with something that is more all-encompassing to all world languages. For this case study, it made sense to incorporate Spanish language in the name, but for the overall goals of the app, Vocab del Mundo won't really be lingually inclusive. I would like to continue expanding on the idea of making the passport feature the reward center of the app. It will probably take several rounds of iteration to get there, as this is it's more of a secondary feature, being that it isn't essential to learning vocabulary. This would hopefully boost the fun and engagement with the learning app, though. One of my bigger goals would be to incorporate a translation tool like Google Translate within the app. It would likely take a partnership with a company like Google, who has an extensive language database, to accommodate all the languages in the app and continually apply them to real-world lingo. Dictionary and thesaurus would be cool features to include too. Overall, this project tapped into my creativity, which was really fun. For my first user experience design project, I'm proud of what I accomplished. I'm looking forward to potentially taking this project further with more iteration. Thank you for taking the time to hear my design story. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to share these now. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.